Hey guys, it's Bethany, your crafty BFF, and I'm on with a requested video. So Miriam over at Crafty Butterfly Ferris has asked me to do a tutorial video showing how to make a shaker with nested frame dies. So, you know, a lot of dies come made to be a shaker, but she said she doesn't have any shaker dies, but she has the nested shaker or nested shape dies. So this, I'm gonna demonstrate with these square dies how to make a shaker from any set of shaped nesting dies. So if you have squares or rectangles or circles, or even a in any shape that comes in a nested die set like this, you can make into a shaker. So just by following these, hopefully I'm gonna demonstrate with these square dies, but you can do this with any shaped nesting dies. Okay, so we're gonna cut everything out together and then we will assemble it. The first things first, you want to pick two of your nesting dies that are, you know, the next size up from each other. So we have this smaller one here, just for kicks. This one is 2 3/4, and this one is 3 1/8. So these are the two that go right next to each other in the nested die set, and they are stitched, but they definitely don't have to be. They can be just regular nested dies. Before you do anything, you're going to take the bigger of the two dies and you're going to cut out 110-pound cardstock, your pattern paper that you want in the background of your shaker, and your acetate. Okay, so let's cut that out together. You don't have to use 110-pound. You can definitely just use a 65-pound white cardstock as your base. I just think it's nice to have a nice sturdy base on your for your embellishments, especially your shaker embellishments that hold all that sequins mix. You want it to be a nice sturdy embellishment, right? So forgive the table shaking. We're cutting, so I cut out my base layer in 110-pound cardstock. And now I'm going to cut out the layer of pattern paper that I want showing in the background. So I have this pattern paper here. I'm just going to use this. And we're going to cut that out with the bigger of the two dies. Try to get it on there straight. I thought it would be helpful to demonstrate actually cutting these dies out, especially when we get to the part where we make the frame. So just getting that out of my die. And then you want to cut your acetate out of the bigger of the two dies as well. So let's go ahead and do that. Here's my acetate. I'm just using the bigger of the two dies that I want to make into a shaker. That actually did not cut well. Let me get my precision plate here. Sometimes you gotta pull out the big guns. Precision plate to cut acetate, and for this die, I definitely need it. So That's my tip. If you're having trouble cutting out acetate, get yourself one of these metal precision plates. They cut the acetate out like butter. One side still didn't cut. Hold on, let me try this again. It's making a liar out of me, isn't it? It sure is. There we go. Now it's cut out. Be careful removing it. There we go. So now you should have we took the biggest die that we're gonna use in the set, and we cut out our base layer. We cut out our pattern paper that we want to be in the background of our shaker, and we cut out our acetate. Okay, so take those 3 pieces and set them aside. And now we're going to take 2 nesting dies that are just one step. This one is just one step down from this one, and we're gonna tape these together. I have some washi tape right here that I'm gonna use, and what you want to do is line them up so that there's an even amount of space on all 4 sides. Now, you're never going to get it perfect, but just do the best you can to make it even all the way around. And then you're going to take your washi tape and tape them together. For some extra security, I am going to put a piece of washi tape on all 4 sides to keep these dies together. Okay, so that's how you make a frame to make a shaker. We're going to, with the 2 dies taped together, we're going to cut out our foam. We're going to cut out a layer of cardstock. I'd use 110 pound, but at least use 65 pound. And then I'm going to cut out the frame for the top in a specialty paper that I want to be showing on the top of my shaker. So sometimes I'll use gold foil. Sometimes I use this pink matte foil, or just a plain color cardstock, whatever your heart desires. Man, I need new plates. Okay, so we're going to cut out our foam. So get yourself a piece of foam. I use the 5mm foam from Hobby Lobby. And place your 2 dies taped together on top of it. And cut out your foam. When cutting out foam, I recommend only roll it through once. Don't do a back and forth job, okay? Just roll it through once and be done cutting your foam. Like so. I'm going to carefully remove this. Let me get this guy out of the way again. And very, very carefully remove your foam from your dies, okay? If you notice that the inside doesn't come out very easily, I recommend taking a pokey tool and going around the die. Instead of pulling it apart and stretching the foam, just take your pokey tool and run it along the inside like this to get that cut all the way through. And then you're not stretching your foam and misforming it, because I think a lot of people stretch on their foam and then it gets it out of shape and then it doesn't line up right when you go to make your shaker. So be very careful removing your foam. And then we're going to cut out another layer of 110-pound cardstock. Like I said, you don't have to use 110-pound, but I do like to do a layer of cardstock between my acetate and my foam because acetate and foam don't stick together well. The glue takes a long time to dry, and so I like to add a layer of cardstock between the acetate and the foam. It makes my life a lot easier when making shakers. And a lot of people don't do this part, so take my advice or don't. I'm just saying it makes it a lot easier when you're assembling your shaker to have this extra layer of 110-pound cardstock between your acetate and your foam. Now it's going to give me trouble and not want to come out, but we're just going to poke it out. Did I just rip it? Hold on, I might have just ruined it. I'm very carefully peeling this out. Okay, it's fine. It is a little torn right there, but it will work as long as I don't tear it anymore. Actually, I'm just going to recut it out because I don't trust that. So, let me recut this layer. Sorry, guys. It's like a little craft with me. Mistakes happen, and that's okay. This. I'm just going to pop the middle out. You can get rid of the middle because we don't need that. Or you can keep it to make a square embellishment if you wanted. And then I'm just going to use my nails here and carefully get this frame out. The washi tape makes it stick inside the die, so you got to be careful pulling it away from the washi tape. That's why I wanted to cut all these pieces out together on video as well. So there you have your 110-pound piece of cardstock that's cut out with the two frame dies, the two nesting frame dies. And last but not least, we just need to cut out the frame in the cardstock that we want on top of our shaker. I'm using this pink foil cardstock. And I'm just gonna cut this out. I need new cutting plates so bad. That didn't cut all the way out. I think it's because I need new cutting plates. Mine are really loved. Okay, now we're going to take the middle out of our specialty cardstock, and we're going to carefully remove the frame. There we go. There's our frame piece and our specialty cardstock, or whatever. It could be a solid color cardstock, whatever you want to be on top of your shaker embellishment. Give me just a second. I need a drink because I've been talking so long. Okay. Now we can assemble. The 110-pound large square that we cut out is going to get glued onto the pattern paper so that we have a nice sturdy base for our shaker. So I'm just adding my glue here to this 110-pound cardstock square, and I'm just going to layer this pattern paper on top. Use my bone folder here to make sure that glue gets spread around and it's stuck down nicely. Okay, now we're gonna glue our acetate piece that we cut out with the bigger of the two dies, right? Before we taped them together, we cut the acetate out of the bigger of the dies, and you're gonna glue it to the very top, the frame piece that you want on the very top of your shaker embellishment. So I am going to apply a thin but consistent line of glue all around this frame. Here we go. I always give this advice when doing a shaker to not put your acetate on there immediately. Let that glue start to get tacky before you put your acetate down. That way it doesn't smear onto your acetate. You just start to let that glue get tacky. Right now I am trying to clean up my acetate off camera, just getting the dust and particles off of it. My acetate is never perfect. Never ever smudge free. I don't know how people do it, but okay. Fuss with your acetate, get all the dust and stuff off of it, and then once you've given the wet adhesive a chance to get tacky, very carefully lay down your piece of acetate lined up on your frame, like so. And then I just gently press down on all four sides and let that dry. I'm going to put this off to the side. You're going to bring this piece back, the 110-pound and pattern paper that we glued together, and we're going to glue our foam frame on top of this piece. So on the back, I like to add my glue to the back of the frame. And like I always say, I add a thin but consistent line of glue all the way around so that none of those sequins can get out. None of the shaker bits can get out. Thin but consistent line all the way around. There we go. Again, I like to let that glue start to get tacky before I put it down on my pattern paper. We're going to line it up and set it down. Right there on top of our pattern paper. And just get that as straight as you can get it on the edges. There's some little dust particles in there I'm trying to get off. There we go. Oh, I guess I need a shaker mix, don't I? I think I got one down here. We got some that'll work. I got this shaker mix right here. But before we add our shaker mix, we're remember I had you cut out a piece of the 110-pound cardstock to go between the foam and the acetate. If you didn't have this piece here, you would be gluing acetate directly onto foam, and they don't like to stick to each other. They're both slick surfaces, and it takes forever to dry. So this is where that piece of cardstock comes in that we're going to lay right there on top of the foam. And then the foam is sticking to one side of the cardstock, and the acetate will stick to the other side of the cardstock. Like I said, it just saves me a lot of headache to cut this extra piece of, this extra frame out in cardstock to layer between the acetate and foam. It adds just a little bit of thickness, but it also makes it so much easier because your foam and your acetate aren't laying directly on top of each other. So the 110-pound cardstock goes directly on top of the foam. And you just line that up the best you can. It won't, like the foam, because foam is so finicky, it never ends up perfect. So just do the best you can. Okay, so you definitely want to wait for that to dry. And then I always take my powder tool, and I'm just going to run it along the inside of the foam to knock down some of that static that you get from the foam. And then I run it a little bit all over the pattern paper as well. And that knocks down some of the foam that you're going to get from the acetate and the foam, and the static that you get from the foam, the acetate, and the sequins. Because, there's a lot of static in there. So once you've used your powder tool, you can add your sequins in. Add a little bit more. There we go. And now we are going to add our thin but consistent line of glue all the way around our cardstock layer. And then we will add our acetate on top. The acetate that we glued to that top frame piece. So thin but consistent line all the way around, because you don't want those shaker bits escaping. There we go. Now we wait for that glue to get tacky. I'm just fussing with the acetate again because lo and behold, there is more dust on it. Acetate just attracts dust and crap from all over the place. So I'm just trying to get it as clean as I can while we wait for that glue to start to get tacky. I got a little smudge on mine. Oh, there we go. I think I got it. Okay, now that glue is starting to get tacky, I'm taking remember we glued the acetate to the piece of frame that we wanted on top of our shaker. And we're just going to set that down. And then let that dry. Do not shake it. I know it's so tempting to shake it right away, but you want your glue to dry all the way around completely. So I say wait at least 5-10 minutes for it to be completely dry before you shake it. And there you have it. That is how you make a shaker with nesting shaped dies. You, like I said before, you can do it with squares, you can do it with circles, any shape you have that makes a nested, that comes in a nested set, you can cut out. Again, like when you use the larger of the two die, you pick out two dies that are right next to each other in the set of nested dies, and with the larger of the two, you cut out your base in 110-pound cardstock, you cut out the pattern paper you want to be in the background, and you cut out your acetate. And then you tape the two dies together with your washi tape, and you cut out your foam, 110-pound cardstock layer, and whatever paper you want to be on the very top of your shaker embellishment. So you cut the frame from the foam, the 110, and then whatever cardstock you want on top. And then you build your sandwich, just like I showed you in this video. So thanks so much for watching. I'm really tempted to shake this, but I'm not going to because I don't want the sequins to stick all around the inside, because they will, because the glue's not dry. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below. And yeah, have a good day. Thanks for watching. Bye.